Let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever seen a lion trying to act like a sheep just to fit in? A lion doesn't try to impress anyone. It simply lives its truth. And yet, many of us spend our lives shrinking ourselves, dimming our light, just to fit into boxes the world has made. Why? Because being average feels safe. It's predictable. It comes with less risk and fewer critics. But let me remind you, you were not born to be average. You were born to be authentic, to be bold, to live with purpose. Think of a mango tree. When it starts growing, no one sees the fruit at first. Just a small sapling. But with time, care, and deep roots, it bears sweet fruit. Likewise, you might be hidden today, but that doesn't mean you're not valuable. Your season is coming. But only if you keep growing. Don't measure your life by how well you fit in. Measure it by how bravely you stand out when it's easier to stay silent, when it's safer to follow the crowd. Remember, average people wait for permission. Great people create their own path. Sometimes people will question your dreams. That's okay. They can't see what you see. It's not their vision. It's yours. And your responsibility is not to convince them. Your responsibility is to stay committed. So don't let temporary failures convince you that you're average. Even a diamond needs cutting before it shines. Even gold must go through fire before it glows. Choose growth over comfort. Choose courage over convenience. Choose legacy over popularity. Because in the end, you were not born to be average. You were born to make a difference. Most people settle for average not because they lack talent, intelligence, hours to be in thee, or potential, but because they allow fear to whisper lies into their ears. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of standing out. It quietly convinces them to stay small, to stay safe, to stay unseen. They choose comfort over growth because comfort feels familiar. It doesn't challenge them. It doesn't stretch them. But comfort, though it may feel pleasant in the short term, becomes a prison in the long run. It traps you in a cycle of routine, of monotony, of living a life that looks full on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. Fear is not the enemy. It is a signal. It means you're stepping outside the zone of average and into the space where growth begins. The question is, what do you do when fear shows up? Do you retreat and go back to your old patterns? Or do you take a deep breath, feel the fear, and move anyway? Because greatness is not the absence of fear. It is the mastery of it. Those who achieve anything remarkable are not fearless. They simply refuse to let fear dictate their decisions. They understand that beyond the discomfort lies transformation. Beyond uncertainty lies new strength. They choose the path of risk, not because it guarantees success, but because it guarantees growth. You see, fear will always try to sell you the idea that average is safer. That if you don't try too hard, you won't be disappointed. That if you keep your head down, you won't fail. But in doing so, you give up the possibility of discovering your true self, the version of you that can inspire, influence, and lead. Playing small does not serve the world. Hiding your gifts does not protect you, it robs you of your purpose. And in the end, the pain of regret will always outweigh the pain of discipline. So don't let fear make your choices. Let your vision guide you. Let your inner voice, quiet but steady, remind you that you were not born to shrink, to settle, or to survive. You were born to rise. The comparison is one of the most subtle yet powerful forces that pulls people away from their true path and traps them in the cage of mediocrity. It begins innocently, looking at someone else's success, lifestyle, or talents, but quickly turns into self-doubt. You see someone doing well and instead of being inspired, you begin questioning your own worth. Why am I not there yet? What am I doing wrong? Why don't I have what they have? But what we often forget is that we are comparing our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. We see their polished results, their celebrations, their wins. But we don't see the struggles they went through, the sleepless nights, the sacrifices and the battles they fought within. Every person's journey is unique just as no two trees grow exactly the same way, no two humans are meant to bloom in the same season. A sunflower and a rose are both beautiful but they don't compete because they know they were designed to shine in their own time, in their own way. The same applies to us. Just because someone else reached a milestone before you doesn't mean you're behind. It means your time is still unfolding. Life is not a race, it's a process of becoming. And when you stay focused on your lane, when you nurture your own roots, when you stop looking sideways, you begin to grow deeper, stronger, and more authentically. But comparison doesn't only breed insecurity, it also steals joy. You could be making progress, achieving personal goals, and moving forward. But the moment you compare, that joy is replaced by envy. You feel inadequate not because you're lacking but because your eyes are fixated on someone else's life instead of your own blessings. That is the tragedy of comparison. It blinds you to your own value. It convinces you that you need to be someone else to be worthy. But the truth is, your value doesn't increase or decrease based on others. It is inherent, untouched, and unique. The most fulfilled people are not those who have the most but those who appreciate what they have while striving for more. They don't compare. They learn, grow, and celebrate others without losing sight of themselves. The more you align with your own path, the more peace you find. Because when you stop trying to be like everyone else, you finally give yourself permission to become who you were always meant to be. And in that authenticity, you will find a power that is far greater than anything comparison can offer. The excuses are the comfort food of the mind. They feel satisfying in the moment. They give us a way out. And they shield us from blame. But just like junk food, they leave us weaker, not stronger. People who live in the mindset of average often build their lives on excuses. They say things like, I wasn't born into the right family, or I don't have the resources, or I'll start when I have more time. They convince themselves that their situation is the reason they can't grow, succeed, or take action. But the problem is not the situation. It's the story they keep repeating about the situation. Because the moment you start making excuses, you give away your power. You allow circumstances to rule your choices instead of taking charge of your own life. Blaming others is easy. It requires no effort, no responsibility, and no courage. But it also produces no growth. The truth is, every person who has achieved something meaningful has faced challenges. They didn't come from perfect backgrounds. They didn't have all the answers. But what they did have was a mindset that refused to use limitations as an excuse. They may have had every reason to quit, but they chose to rise. They may have lacked support, but they leaned into their willpower. Excuses are simply lies the mind tells when it wants to avoid discomfort. But growth only happens outside that comfort zone. Taking ownership means shifting the conversation from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What can I do about it?" It means realizing that you are the author of your own life. Yes, life may hand you difficult chapters, but you still hold the pen. Average people wait for external change. Exceptional people create internal change in thee. And that begins when you stop pointing fingers and start using your hands to build, repair, and climb. There is something profoundly empowering about saying, "It's on me," not with guilt, but with strength. It means you've accepted the role of a creator, not just a character in your story. It means you've chosen to rise above circumstances instead of being crushed by them. When you take full responsibility, you no longer feel helpless. You begin to realize that while you may not control every event, you absolutely control your response to it. And that response, that moment of choice, is what separates the average from the exceptional. Excuses might protect your ego, but responsibility builds your future. The more honest you are with yourself, the faster you grow Because growth doesn't come from avoiding truth. It comes from confronting it. It comes from looking in the mirror and saying, "No more stories. No more waiting. I am ready to become more." And in that decision, in that simple shift, a powerful life begins. Discipline, a quiet force that separates those who merely dream from those who actually do. It's not flashy, it doesn't draw applause, and it often feels difficult in the moment. But it's what builds character, consistency, and long-term success. While average people often chase motivation, relying on fleeting feelings to determine their actions. Those who rise above average understand that discipline is far more reliable than motivation. Motivation is emotional, it comes and goes. But discipline is a decision, a daily commitment to act regardless of how you feel. Most people wait to feel like it before they start something meaningful. They wait for the right mood, the right moment, or the right mindset. But those who break free from mediocrity know that the right time rarely announces itself. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They create movement in imperfect ones. They wake up early even when the bed is warm. They show up for their responsibilities even when no one is watching. They stay consistent even when progress feels invisible. Because they understand that greatness is not in grand gestures. It's shaped in quiet, repetitive acts of discipline. Discipline trains the mind and builds inner strength. It teaches you how to do what is necessary, not just what is convenient. When you eat healthy when junk food is calling, when you study when others are distracted. When you show up when it's easier to make excuses. You're not just accomplishing tasks. You're building a powerful version of yourself. You're telling your subconscious that your word matters, that your vision matters, that your goals are bigger than your moods. It's in the mundane and the monotonous where champions are born. An artist becomes great not by painting once in a while, but by picking up the brush every day. A speaker becomes powerful not by one speech, but by hours of unseen practice. A leader gains wisdom not from instant decisions, but from consistently making hard choices. Average people seek comfort in leisure, but exceptional people find satisfaction in discipline. Because they know that today's effort is the seed of tomorrow's reward. When you are disciplined, you gain self-respect. You begin to trust yourself because you've proven time and time again that you will show up, that self-trust becomes the foundation for confidence. Not the kind of confidence that comes from praise, but the kind that comes from within. Earned through effort, built through repetition. In a world full of noise, distractions, and quick dopamine hits, discipline becomes a superpower. It is the quiet, invisible engine behind every extraordinary life. Gratitude is one of the most underrated but deeply transformative forces in a person's life. While many chase after more success, more wealth, more recognition, those who rise above average know the secret lies not only in striving, but also in appreciating. Gratitude is not weakness. It's not complacency. It's not settling. In fact, it's the opposite. It is the ability to recognize what you have while still working toward what you want. Gratitude grounds you. It gives you the emotional fuel to keep going when things get tough, because your focus isn't just on what's missing. It's also on what's already a blessing. Average minds often take things for granted. They walk past beauty every day without noticing it. They eat meals without truly tasting them. They talk to loved ones without truly hearing them. They wake up with breath in their lungs and a chance to try again, and yet complain about the minor inconveniences in their day. But those who rise higher live with awareness. They practice gratitude not just in the good times, but also in the challenges, knowing that even pain can be a teacher, and even setbacks can carry a gift. Gratitude sharpens perspective. When you focus only on what's going wrong, your life feels heavy. But when you pause to acknowledge what's going right, even the small things, you realize you're far more blessed than you thought. A roof over your head, food on your plate, health in your body, someone who checks on you, an opportunity to learn, a second chance. These are things we often overlook. But to someone else, they are dreams. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean you stop aiming higher. It means you climb from a place of fullness, not lack. You don't chase success out of desperation to fill a void. You move forward with joy, with appreciation, with humility. That energy is different. That energy is powerful. It keeps your ambition from turning into anxiety. It keeps your drive from becoming toxic. The gratitude allows you to enjoy the process while pursuing the goal, and that balance is what protects your peace. It also strengthens your relationships. When you start noticing and acknowledging the efforts of others, it deepens your connection with them. A simple thank you can heal a wound, mend a distance, and show love where it was needed. A gratitude softens pride. It removes entitlement. It reminds us that we didn't get here alone, that somewhere along the path, someone helped, someone guided, someone believed in us. In moments of difficulty, gratitude becomes your anchor. It helps you endure. Because when everything feels like it's falling apart, the ability to find even one thing to be thankful for can change your entire mindset. It's not about denying reality. It's about choosing where to place your attention. And when your attention is on appreciation, your spirit grows stronger, your heart grows lighter, and your journey becomes more meaningful. Gratitude, then, is not just a feeling. It's a lifestyle. It's a strength. And it's a clear sign that you are rising far beyond average. Surrounding yourself with the right people is one of the most powerful and often overlooked influences on personal growth. Now, most people remain stuck in mediocrity not because they lack dreams or ability, but because they choose comfort over challenge when it comes to relationships. They surround themselves with those who are familiar, even if those people don't push them forward. They stay in circles where mediocrity is normal, where complaining is common, and where playing it safe is celebrated. And slowly, without realizing it, their standards begin to shrink. Their thinking becomes limited. Their hunger for growth begins to fade. Not because they changed internally, but because they absorbed the mindset of their environment. Human beings are deeply shaped by those around them. We are mirrors of the company we keep. If you spend enough time with those who constantly criticize, doubt, or fear change, you'll start to question your own potential. But the opposite is also true. If you choose to walk with those who challenge you, who inspire you, who hold you to a higher standard, your thinking begins to expand. Your courage begins to grow. You start believing in bigger possibilities because you're no longer the only one believing in them. This is why intentional relationships are so critical. You must choose people who speak life into your purpose, who don't let you make excuses, who remind you of your capabilities when you forget them yourself. These are the people who won't let you settle. They won't cheer when you shrink. Instead, they'll challenge you to stretch. They'll hold you accountable to the version of yourself you said you wanted to become. It may feel uncomfortable at times. It may hurt your ego. But that discomfort is where transformation lies. Being around greatness creates internal pressure. It forces you to either grow or retreat. And those who want to break free from average choose growth. They seek mentors, not fans. They look for peers who ask deep questions, not just nod in agreement. They align with people whose very presence reminds them to be better, think sharper, and live with more intention. That's not arrogance. It's wisdom. You also have to be brave enough to outgrow certain people. Not everyone can walk with you to the next level. Some relationships were only meant for a chapter, not the entire story. Holding on too long out of guilt or nostalgia can hold you back. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means vision is the inner compass that gives your life direction, meaning, and depth. Without vision even the most talented individuals wander aimlessly. They wake up, go through the motions, chase short-term pleasures, and hope that somehow life will give them something more But life doesn't reward wishful thinking. It responds to clarity, to purpose, to vision. Vision gives you the ability to see beyond what is visible. It allows you to look past temporary struggles and into a future worth fighting for. People who remain average often do so because they lack vision. They are reactive instead of proactive. They live based on circumstances instead of convictions. They wait for things to happen instead of creating them. But when you have vision, everything changes. You start moving with intention. You no longer make random choices or waste time in meaningless distractions. You know what you're building, even if no one else can see it yet. Vision gives you patience in a world that celebrates speed. It gives you resilience in moments when quitting looks easier. It helps you say no to things that don't align because your eyes is reserved for something greater. Vision becomes the standard you measure everything by. The most extraordinary people didn't get there by luck. They had a vision when others had doubts. They could see a version of the future that didn't yet exist. And they worked with discipline, patience, and passion to bring that vision to life. It's not that their path was easy. It's that their vision was strong enough to pull them through hardship, delay, and rejection. Where others saw obstacles, they saw opportunities to grow into their vision. Having vision also protects you from distractions that lead to regret. You don't get caught up in temporary trends or what everyone else is doing because you are rooted in a deeper reason. You understand that saying yes to your vision often means saying no to comfort, to approval, to instant gratification. But you also understand that fulfillment doesn't come from drifting. It comes from designing. Vision allows you to design your life consciously instead of living by default. And vision isn't just about career or achievements. It's about who you want to become. It's about the impact you want to leave, the character you want to build, and the legacy you want to live by. When your vision is clear, even small actions feel significant. You realize that every day is either moving you closer to it or further away. And with that awareness you begin to live on purpose, not just for the sake of surviving, but for the joy of becoming everything you were truly meant to be. Mindset is the foundation upon which every outcome in life is built. It is not just a way of thinking, it is the lens through which you interpret your reality, make your decisions, and respond to every situation. Two people can go through the exact same circumstance, and one can rise while the other crumbles, not because of talent or luck, but because of mindset. Average people often adopt a fixed mindset. They believe their abilities are limited, their circumstances define them, and their current reality is their permanent reality. They speak in absolutes, I can't. This is just how I am. Or people like me don't get those opportunities. This mindset becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, quietly creating a ceiling on what they can achieve. But those who rise above average operate from a growth mindset. They understand that intelligence can be developed, that skills can be learned, and that failure is not the end. It's part of the process. They ask better questions. How can I improve? What is this setback teaching me? Where do I need to grow? Their thoughts aren't focused on proving themselves, but on improving themselves. They don't fear failure because they know that failure is often disguised as feedback. Every misstep becomes data, every loss becomes a lesson, and every challenge becomes a chance to expand their mental strength. Your mindset influences how you handle criticism. Average minds take it personally. They shut down, become defensive, or feel attacked. But growth-minded individuals listen openly, extract the truth, and use it to evolve. They welcome uncomfortable truths because they know truth is the doorway to transformation. They also understand that change begins internally. You can switch jobs, cities, or relationships, but if your mindset doesn't change, your results won't either. You'll keep repeating the same cycles, experiencing the same frustrations, and wondering why nothing feels different. Mindset also determines how you see opportunity. Average people see risks, obstacles, and uncertainty. They ask, what if it doesn't work? But those with a mindset wired for growth and excellence ask, what if it does? Instead of fearing the unknown, they explore it. Instead of waiting for permission, they give themselves a chance. And this shift from fear to curiosity, from doubt to belief, is the difference between staying stuck and breaking through. A powerful mindset doesn't eliminate problems. It simply refuses to be defined by them. It means you've trained your mind to be stronger than your emotions, more committed than your excuses, and more focused than your distractions. And that kind of mindset doesn't happen by accident. It is chosen daily, shaped through habits, tested through adversity, and refined through experience. It is the silent force behind every great decision, every act of courage, and every story of transformation. And it is available to anyone who is willing to shift their thinking from limitation to possibility, from average to exceptional. A progress over perfection is one of the most essential yet difficult truths to embrace on the journey of growth. So many people delay action, delay dreams, and delay becoming who they were meant to be simply because they're waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect version of themselves to emerge. They believe that unless everything is flawless, it's not worth starting. This mindset keeps them paralyzed in planning, overthinking, and self-doubt. The idea of perfection becomes a silent enemy, not because it pushes them to be excellent, but because it convinces them that they're never ready. Those who stay average often fall into this trap. They want their first step to be smooth, their first attempt to be successful, and their journey to be linear. But real growth doesn't look like that. It's messy. It's imperfect. It's full of trial and error. And the ones who break free from average are those who start anyway. Before they feel ready, before they have all the answers, before the fear disappears, they choose momentum over mastery, knowing that progress is the only path that leads to excellence. Every expert was once a beginner. Every master started clumsy, unsure, and often scared. But what set them apart wasn't talent. It was their willingness to begin and keep going. They allowed themselves to be imperfect learners, to fall down, to try again, and to grow with every experience. Perfection, on the other hand, is paralyzing. It creates a pressure that robs you of joy and creativity. It tells you that mistakes are shameful, when in truth, they are your most honest teachers. When you focus on progress, you see mistakes as movement, not failure. This principle applies to every area of life: fitness, a career, relationships, personal habits, or emotional healing. If you expect yourself to get it right every time, you will never feel satisfied. But if you celebrate small wins, acknowledge small shifts, and stay consistent despite imperfections, you build real momentum. Progress isn't loud. It's not always Instagram worthy. Sometimes it looks like waking up 10 minutes earlier, choosing water instead of soda, saying no when you used to say yes out of guilt, or writing one page even when you don't feel inspired. These small acts compound into powerful results. But only if you allow them to. There's a quiet confidence that grows inside those who choose progress over perfection. They stop trying to impress and start trying to improve. They become more focused on becoming better than they were yesterday than trying to be better than someone else today. This mindset removes the fear of failure, because when your goal is progress, failure becomes part of the formula, not the end of it. You begin to realize that showing up imperfectly is far more powerful than not showing up at all. Because life doesn't reward perfection. It rewards persistence. And every time you choose to move forward, no matter how small the step, you're proving to yourself that you are not average. You are evolving. You are growing. You are becoming. Purpose is the deepest fuel behind any meaningful life. It's what gives direction to your decisions, passion to your work, and strength to your struggles. The people who live average lives often drift, not because they lack capability, but because they lack clarity in they go through life responding to what happens around them instead of being led by what burns within them. They wake up, do what's expected, chase what everyone else is chasing. Money, status, validation. But inside, there's an emptiness. That's because activity without alignment eventually becomes exhausting. Success without purpose feels hollow. And movement without meaning leads to burnout, not fulfillment. Those who live beyond average operate differently. They don't just ask, what do I want to achieve? They ask, why do I want to achieve it? That single question changes everything. Purpose becomes the anchor during chaos, the fire when motivation fades, and the compass when confusion clouds the way. It turns ordinary work into something sacred. It transforms challenges into character-building moments. When you're driven by purpose, your energy is deeper than excitement. It comes from conviction. You're not just pushing through life. You're pulled forward by something bigger than you. Purpose doesn't always begin with clarity. It often starts with pain, with questions, with a sense that there must be more, and through experiences, both beautiful and difficult, it slowly reveals itself. Sometimes it's found in service, in helping others heal from what you've survived. Sometimes it's found in creativity, in expressing something that the world needs. Other times, it's discovered in silence, in the quiet reflection of what truly matters to you beyond what others expect. Living with purpose means you're not easily swayed by distractions. You don't waste time chasing trends or comparing paths because you're rooted in your own why. That clarity brings peace. It reduces anxiety. It gives you the courage to say no to good things so you can say yes to great things. When you're aligned with your purpose, even failure feels different. It doesn't break you. It teaches you. It becomes a tool, not a threat. Purpose also elevates your relationships. You stop seeking people who simply entertain you and start valuing those who understand your mission. You attract deeper conversations, stronger connections, and mutual growth. You become intentional with your time, mindful with your words, and authentic in your presence. You stop pretending and start living from the core of who you really are And perhaps the most powerful aspect of purpose is that it outlives you. It creates legacy. It means your life mattered not just to you, but to others. Your impact carries on. In the lives you touched, the hearts you inspired, the values you stood for, that kind of life is anything but average. That kind of life is rare. It is rich. It is real. And it's possible for anyone willing to stop drifting and start living from the inside out.